Howdy, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. Get my mic all situated here. Well, how about that, I guess, win? That was kind of rough, to be honest with you. Here, I'm doing an audio check real quick. I'm by myself. Okay, just wanted to make sure you could still hear me. So, wow. All right. Well, I was at that game. I've been to a lot of games this year. I was not anticipating being at that many games for many reasons. Obviously, pandemic related, but also I just didn't expect to. I expected to be home watching the games, listening to Dave and Jim, and I haven't done that yet this year, other than replays. So been a weird year, but it's been fun to go. By the way, I don't know. I mean, I don't think anybody's here yet, but if you are, check out the Timberwolves app. I actually need to do this as well right now because they're giving away free tickets in the Arby's section again. And I got ridiculous tickets. Like, I got row D in section 133. So I'm only a few rows up for free. These tickets go for normally like $100+. So this is worth it. Go check it out. Let me see. Let me get back here. But yeah, if you go to the app, go to the Timberwolves app, press more at the bottom right, and then go to We Have the Threes, the Arby's promotion. And right now it's still for the 25th, so it's for Monday's game again against the Pelicans. But go to the Timberwolves app. You can claim tickets. They're probably only upper deck seats right now, but still they're free. So just go do it. You might as well. So we'll see how that works. Also, sorry, this is kind of a test episode. Obviously, this is a new screen. If you've been watching, I'm gonna test a little something right here. See what happens. Does chat show up? It does. Sweet. It's blue. It's kind of hard to read. This is just all temporary. I'm just trying a couple things while Ashwin's gone. I figured I almost didn't even do this episode, but I was like, whatever, we'll just do it. Because not only, I mean, that's obviously a lot more fun to do the show with Ashwin, but also, the game was like challenging to watch. I was with my dad and Maddie, my wife, and I kind of leaned over to my dad at a point, and I was like, this feels like work watching this game right now. I after the first quarter. So the first quarter, now given, keep in mind all of these things when we're like when you're at the game, you get a lot different vibes than you get like watching Dave and Jim on TV, because we were watching Dave and Jim on TV. There's different narratives happening, like they're talking about certain things, and like obviously we're talking about certain things in the stands. So it's kind of like, it's tricky. I could have totally different vibes than somebody else could watching the game at home. The first quarter, though, for me, I thought it was pretty fun. I think a lot of times I expect us to come out a little sloppy against teams that we should beat. And this is a game that should have been a lot easier for us, but certain circumstances kind of gotten us into certain positions, which I'll talk about later in the tier list. But yeah, the first quarter we came out with decent energy. I was pretty happy with the first quarter, at least the first half of the first quarter energy. Maybe I had a low bar, but I was still pleased to see that. I thought right off the bat it looked very similar to the Houston game. I was like, okay, we're playing a bad team, we're playing good, and we should win. So that's kind of what I anticipated. And then went downhill from there. It's kind of crazy. We were up a majority of the game, if not all of the game. I don't even know. But still, just felt rough, as you know. If you were watching the game, you know how bad it was. But what we're going to do, we're going to do some tier list. I thought I had a top shot. I do not have a top shot tonight. But yeah, fun. It's fun to go to the games, I used to live in Seattle just like a year ago, so I didn't go to any games. I watched every single game on TV, which is nice to an extent, but just to be there is a different atmosphere. And I would say last time I made some complaints about the crowd seeming a little quiet, but this time they seemed a lot louder, at least in the beginning. But then, it wasn't as bad as this game. I will never forget this one game back probably in like the 2014-ish, 2013 maybe even, time where we played the 76ers, and I think the final score was something like 67-68 or so. I don't know. It was insanely terrible. And the whole game was pretty much unenjoyable to watch as a fan. I was at the game. Obviously, this wasn't that bad. It wasn't like, oh, I couldn't enjoy myself. But I mean, this was definitely challenging. Is just the perfect word. You know, it was a challenge at times. So, but yeah, and you know, it was fun to see Pat Bev come out and get the crowd a little riled up at times. It was fun to see Ant do. Ant's had some pretty incredible plays, although he wasn't efficient. I mean, many people weren't efficient on our team tonight, but you know, it was still fun. He had some great plays that looked like superstar plays, and you know, just kind of cements it more in my brain that he's going to be a superstar. Yeah, so it might be a relatively quick episode. So if you're watching this after the fact, hopefully I don't take up too much of your time. But we will be back playing the Pelicans again on Monday, so I don't want to elaborate too deeply on the Pelicans, knowing that we'll probably be covering the Monday game as well. So, but figured I want to get this out of the way, get a show going, and test out some of these graphics. I don't know if you saw this. If you're joining live, I had a new intro with some new music, a little bit more fitting to basketball, I guess. I don't know. It's just a little bit more like... the last one was a Dr. Disrespect song, which is like fun, but I was only using that because it was DMCA free. No other reason. It doesn't fit really the theme of anything, but I figured, you know, why not? Let's try something new. And this one's a Dave Cutter song, or David Cutter. Follow him on Patreon. So, anyways, let's maybe jump into the tier list right away. I added Leand. Oh my gosh, I was gonna say it again. Leandro Bolmaro. I did not say whatever the other name is that I was trying to say. So, tier list. Sad face, no Ashwin, sorry. But in case you're new here, in case this is the first built from day one video that you're watching on YouTube for some reason and you've made it through my weird intro, the way we do these tier lists is based off a nightly standard, and it's a pretty tough grading scale. So to get A1, we're thinking like, you know, all-time performance in a Timberwolves jersey, you know. Maybe on the lower end of things, thinking back to like Cat and Ant's 42 and 40-point game last year, like that is somewhere where we get A1. A is like you really outperformed what you normally do, so you played a lot better. B is like you did a really good job, pretty close to what we'd expect, but maybe a little extra. C is we got what we expected out of you. D is like disappointing. Wancho speaks for itself. Yeah, Godfrey, you're right. No A1s tonight. Spoiler. I mean, realistically, if there was going to be an A1 tonight, it'd probably be Brandon Ingram. Because Brandon Ingram was incredible. And, you know, if you haven't watched Brandon Ingram play, it might have surprised you a little bit, but he does this, you know. He is kind of a killer. He just plays on a terrible team, you know. And maybe that's why he's a killer. He's the only one that they can really rely upon, so he can take all the shots. But you know, I mean, he had Jayden draped all over him at times in the fourth. So, yes, it was. D'Lo was very difficult to watch tonight, and he will not be getting A1 tonight. People in the stands even. We were sitting in front of some let's see, D'Lo's the clutchest player in the NBA tonight. He did come in clutch, thank goodness, but it was definitely a rough game for him. It was very frustrating to watch him at the game. I had some kids behind me that were very excited to see D'Lo in the beginning of the game. And then at the end of the game, they were like, oh my gosh, take D'Lo out of the game. And I was like, oh God, they've turned on D'Lo. Because they were in the beginning of the game, anytime he'd do a crossover, they'd be like, oh. But then, I mean, obviously it was not his game. So, and you know, that's going to be kind of a theme. We're going to talk about D'Lo a little bit later, but one point I'll make on him really quick is D'Lo. If D'Lo was performing at a level of like just a higher level, he needs to be making shots, making plays, because like Towns and Anthony Edwards have been playing pretty well so far this season, given it's only 2 games. But you know, it's he's those two are performing, but D'Lo is not there yet. And I think this has happened in the past where he starts seasons a little slow and then gets into it about halfway through. But 100%, I'd rather have an ugly win than an L. And that's really all that matters. You know, these are games where previous years we would lose. I'm not trying to say that the Timberwolves are going to the finals. I'm not even trying to say that they're going to the playoffs, you know. Like, obviously, that's my hope. But, and I do think they're going to the playoffs. But I'm not trying to, like, hype this up and be like, oh, this is the best team, you know, like, that we've seen in years, because it's not. But it is one of the best teams we've seen in a couple years. And And I think this is a game that we easily could have lost, but hopefully some of that veteran leadership out there and just the players getting older, obviously having the players get older is going to be good for us. So, all right, we'll get into D'Lo a little bit later, but we need D'Lo to play better because I tweeted it earlier tonight. Follow me on Twitter, but we're one D'Lo away from making this game a blowout. Because imagine, D'Lo ended up with what, 12 points? Yeah. If he makes, because he was 5 of 14. If he makes a few more of his shots, we're up by 20. So that would have given us a little bit more cushion, a little less stress there in like the third quarter and things like that. But we'll get to D'Lo later. I see that a lot of you have joined. We're doing our tier list. Just a quick, brief reminder. This is based on only tonight, not the whole season. And A1 is like crazy. Wancho is like crazy bad. C is like you played well. You played your role. You played what you're supposed to. Unfair to better players. Unfair advantage to bad players. But we'll get over it. We're just going to get into it. Feel free to comment in the chat, and I will. You can sway me. I'll say that. I'll sway that. But we're going to start from the least amount of minutes to the most. And actually, the least amount of minutes tonight is probably the player of the game. It is Jayden Mclaughlin. Jayden Mclaughlin came in, and yes, we still do have the Wancho tier, but I don't think we'll ever get rid of it. It's amazing. But Jayden Mclaughlin only played 12 minutes, but he is probably the reason we won this game. Given, obviously, Cat had a great game other than the offensive fouls. Ant had a great game. Patrick Beverly made a lot of great plays on defense. And like Vando had a lot of plays too, got a lot of rebounds. But when he came in, he calmed things down, made some just good plays, nothing crazy. He wasn't trying to do anything wild. And he is probably going to be the top player of the night, starting off at the bottom minutes. But when he came in, I was actually worried that he wasn't going to come in because my dad was kind of pointing to me because he was pointing down at like the bench and he was like stretching and I thought he was maybe injured. But I was like, he didn't even play any minutes at that point. But he played 12 minutes, exactly. No, 12 minutes and 0 seconds. 6 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 2 of 3 shooting. But, honestly, if you watch the game, as exactly, Mass Dexter, he's an A tonight. There's just no question in my mind that he's an A. He played his heart out, and, this is the kind of the Lil Mac, J Mac that we have hoped for a long time ago. He had a few months last season where he really wasn't good. I think he was also injured a little bit too. But man, he looked good tonight, and he was commanding the floor when he was out there. Obviously he's not going to be the greatest shooter. He's not going to be some insane playmaker, but he makes the right plays. And tonight that was critical against a terrible team that seriously played terrible other than maybe Brandon Ingram and then Valanciunas at the end only because Cat was out. But man, that was like, he was the player of the game. We're starting off with him, player of the game. If you disagree, this one you can't sway me. He's an A. But next up, Jared Vanderbilt also played 12 minutes, had 4 points, 8 rebounds, 3 steals, 1 block, and also 2 of 3 shooting. Vando, he was out there doing his hustle plays. 8 rebounds in 12 minutes is pretty wild, and especially against a team that was playing. With Valanciunas out there, we were getting a lot of the rebounds, especially in the first half. And then the second half, we had to work for him a little bit more, it felt like, at least from the game. It felt like that. But 3 steals, 8 rebounds. That is really good. I don't remember any specific plays from Vando, but he did save one to save it to Nas to get that buzzer beater at the end of the third, which was kind of funny. But I wouldn't say A because, he had a great game, but, this is somewhat what we expect, but maybe a little bit better. So we're going to give him a B tonight, Oh, yeah. Also, I always try to remind everybody, if I'm on the fence about something, chat, you can sway me one way or the other. Or we're going to start with, like, if we get a win, we move up one. If we get a loss, we go down one. So, anyways, next one, we are on to Taurian Prince, 15 minutes, 3 points, 1 assist, 1 rebound, 1 steal, 1 of 3 shooting. He didn't have the same impact. Like, he was out there defensively, but it really wasn't, the same level of, like, effectiveness as, like, even, like, a Vando or J-Mac, or Little Mac. But I was hoping for more, and to be honest, even in the preseason, I saw a lot better play from him. Not that he was, like, lacking effort necessarily, but I just felt like he was a little slow on defense at times. Obviously, he's a little bit more of a defensive mindset, but it just wasn't fully there tonight. I have a hard time giving him a D just because it wasn't like he played bad, but he just didn't play that good. I don't know. If you have any other opinions in chat, feel free to let me know. But right now, I'm really thinking a C. I think C probably makes the most sense for him. I just, I wish. I mean, he only took 3 shots. It felt like he took more, but that is Culver at the bottom. I can't delete people off of this, so I have to like set up time to like make a new tier list and take them off, or like not add them. So you're gonna see some other ones, Mass Xer. I don't know if you saw the last one. We've still got Wancho in there. We've still got Rubio in there. Somebody else too. I can't remember. I think there's somebody else, but yeah, Rubio's there. We've been using Rubio as Balmero until today. I did add Balmero, which he's right there. He didn't play today though. So, oh yeah, I forgot. Did not plays, should not play, and then Wancho too. Anyways, next up. So, I didn't even rate Prince. I'm gonna give him a C though. I can't give him lower than a C. It wasn't like he did anything as like a detriment necessarily. And actually, he was a +9 when he was out there. So I think C is fine. I think C is 9. C is fine. Whoa. Oh my gosh, I can't stop. Anyways, what's up next? Malik Beasley. So he didn't have as good of a night as he did the first night. First night was high energy. I mean, obviously we had that play where he tried to save the ball after a block. The bench is like carrying him. He's smiling, great vibes. Tonight he struggled a little bit. Shooting wise wasn't fully there, but he only took 5 shots. Well, actually he shot 3 of 5, but he did miss 2 shots from the free throw line. It doesn't say that though. He did though, right? I'm not crazy. Yeah, I think my stats are off because it says that he didn't take free throws, but he took 2 free throws and missed them. I swear. I remember seeing they like zoomed in on his face as he missed it, and it was really funny in the arena. But what's the question? Like he started heating up late when we needed it. Yeah, that's true. He did have 6 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. And to be fair, I mean, the first game, how well he played was pretty incredible. Given it was a completely new role for him. So that was kind of cool to see. But yeah, a little less impact tonight. Defensive, he's turning more into a defensive player, which is kind of funny. He's not really the best defensive player. He's a lot more. I mean, you think Malik Beasley and you think threes, but he's got it. He can do it. He can get in front of people, but he only played 18 minutes tonight too. So it feels kind of wrong. I think I'm going to give him like a high C. He did bring a little bit of energy near the end of the game. But yeah, I think a high C. You guys can change my mind too. But for right now, I'm going to put him as a high C. Kind of want to get to the starters quickly tonight because I have more thoughts on the starters than I do the bench. Naz Reid. So actually, I do have some thoughts on Naz Reid. He played 19 minutes. He had 12 points, 3 rebounds, 3 steals. Man, our steals were what? So we had a lot of steals tonight, but my God, the Pelicans are so bad. They're really bad, And I'm not trying to like clown on them, but I mean, the first half they're turning the ball over, giving us steals, Almost, it felt like every time down the court, I was jokingly leaning over to my wife and saying, like, oh, the Pelicans are so bad. And then they come back down, turn it over. The Pelicans are so bad. I just have to keep saying it. It's like crazy. And then she's like, well, we're almost losing to them, so we must be back to it. I was like, yep, you're probably right. But anyways, 3 steals for Naz. 4 of 12 shooting. It was rough. He did make 1 good 3 near the end of the fourth quarter. 2 of 2 on free throws. Is that true too? I thought he missed some. I feel like they're off with the free throws. Maybe I'm off. Anyways, but he did have 5 personal fouls, which is insane because Cat had 6. You can't have. I mean, those are our only 2 big players out there who can even have a chance at guarding Valanciunas. So it's like if we don't have somebody over 200 pounds to guard Valanciunas, we're screwed, and we were screwed in the fourth. I mean, they just kept feeding it to him and he was able to just back it down over Naz. It's concerning, but So, and Nas wasn't fully there. I mean, he did have that 3 that I was talking about, but he was 4 of 12. We needed more shot making from him. A little disappointing. And Nas has looked a little shaky in the beginning of the season. I don't know if his, yeah, Cat got that foul too. Yeah, I don't know if it's just that Nas is getting in his head a little bit, but he's starting the season a little rough. I don't really want to hold against him too much because we know that Nas can be a really beneficial player for us, and especially given the contract he's on. I mean, we've inflated our view of Nas Reed so much that it's like we expect kind of a lot out of him now. When he's not even on a guaranteed contract, he was on like a 4-year, under $1 million a year contract, which is, I mean, obviously still a lot of money, but in terms of like players in the NBA, he's not even guaranteed that money. So it's pretty crazy to think that he's putting out 12 points in 19 minutes for us, So obviously shout out to Nas for that. But at the same time, wasn't his best night tonight. So for that reason, I'm out. No. For that reason, I think he is also probably C tier, probably low C tier. That 3 maybe saves him from going a little bit further down. I don't really want to give him a D, though. I mean, again, what do we expect from a player? Nas, probably like 10 points, some rebounds, too. He only had 3 rebounds, but Vando was getting them all. So, yeah, we'll give him a C tonight. I think that's probably fair. But, again, feel free to change my mind. Next up, last of the bench players, 6th man, Patrick Beverly. He played 21 minutes. He made impact right off the bat. He had 5 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal. And honestly, a lot of those steals came from like the first few minutes that he was in the game. I can't remember exactly what order things happened, but like right off the bat, he got a steal. He made a 3. He is like locking down defenders, taking charges, just those effort plays that, previous Timberwolves players that didn't necessarily have this player. Sure, maybe we had Rubio, but I mean, obviously Pat Bev is just a little bit more intense than Rubio is on defense. He's more skilled on defense, and he's a little bit better of a shooter too. Given he only was shot 2 of 6 tonight, but and he has been falling off a little bit. We're probably getting him near the tail end of like shooting wise, but I less care about the shooting for him and much more care about the aura, I guess. Shout out aura or whatever. But yeah. Oh, welcome to the chat, Simone. Yeah, Pat Bev played well tonight. I mean, just the energy he brings, is incredible, And that's why I care less about his shot making and more about those taking charges, like steals, blocks, all that kind of stuff, and just getting in the heads of the opponents. Because we like, when do we ever have a player that gets into the head of an opponent? Like almost never, So I love that. You hate to play against him. Love him when he's on your team though. So, but for Pat Bev tonight, I'd probably say, let's see, what is you say? I'm just trying to see if they give out the Magic or the Clippers games tickets. Oh, thank you. I forgot. I wanted to check that too. By the way, if you're still hanging out here and you didn't see the beginning of the stream, go to the Timberwolves app, tap the more at the bottom right, then go to the Arby's We Have the Threes. Go down to the bottom. They're giving out free tickets still for the 25th for another Pelicans game. But they last time they did this, they brought more games out. So just check it out. But wonder why Jordan played fourth quarter instead of Pat Bev. I was kind of wondering that too. I was like, this seems like a prime opportunity to bring Pat Bev in. The only thing I can think is that they were maybe trying to go with he wasn't like hot, but like the hot hand of J-Mac, because he was when he came into the game, he was a positive player. He made good plays, and I obviously was very. It just the whole vibe changed when he came into the game. But at the same time, I mean, it's a great point, Godfrey. That's kind of the same vibe we get from Pat Bev. We get in the heads of the opponent. He's a great defensive player. Probably, he is a better defensive player than J-Mac, or Lil Mac. Yeah, it was. I thought that same thing, and I was a little confused, but who knows? I'm not 100% sure why. I probably would have gone with Patrick Beverly just based off of the energy that he brought earlier in the game, but I guess you could maybe argue that his shooting just wasn't there or something. Don't know. He was 1 of 5 from 3, so maybe that is part of it. They were just trying to get us the free Arby's, realistically. So, anyways, Patrick Beverly, in his Timberwolves debut, I think I'm leaning towards a B. Probably around the same as Vando. I mean, both of them were just high energy, major changes in like just mood of the team in this game particularly. I still think Lil Mac is A over them just because when he came in, the game did change. But I think I do agree with you, Godfrey. I'd probably, well, I don't know if you'd say this, but it is just curious to know why they went with Lil Mac over Patrick Beverly. So it's a good point. But I think B makes sense unless chat gets really outraged. But yeah, offensive production for sure. I think that's part of it. I mean, Pat Bev can have offensive production. And to be honest with you, I mean, Lil Mac, this isn't necessarily like a given on offense either. But which is why you would almost think that Patrick Beverly would be the one that makes more sense, just because you know you're going to get defense out of him at least. And with Mclaughlin, you're like, maybe. But anyways, I think we'll give him a B. Feel free to write in the chat if you disagree, if you think he should be higher or lower, but I think B makes sense. But we're on to the starters, and I'll look back at chat and if anybody changes their mind. But on to the starters. Last of the starters with only 18 minutes. Somewhat of a rough night. Somewhat of a rough night for Josh Kogi. Only 18 minutes, like I said. He had 0 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. He was part of those lineups that I was talking about where in the first half, the Pelicans just kept turning the ball over and giving us steals. And also, we were really aggressive rebounding in the first half. And we, like I said, we had to work for it in the second half. But Josh's energy was there a little bit, but it kind of reminded me of last season at times where it seemed like a little less there, I guess. By the way, I got to give a shout out to Josh Okogie, though. I know I'm not necessarily praising him the highest right now, but you know, I was watching his Twitch stream the other day, and he was giving away tickets and like money for watching his stream. So you should check out his Twitch stream for sure. He streams a lot of Apex Legends, not necessarily my favorite game, but I know he does some Warzone too and some other games. But he was giving away some stuff on his Twitch, and he said he's going to do another giveaway soon. So and it sounds like he's going to hook me up with some tickets. So that's pretty awesome. But I super appreciate that. Obviously, he does not need to do that, but I appreciate that. So, anyways, back to the game tonight. It was an okay game. I mean, he didn't get a lot of burn in the second half. I don't even really remember him in the second half. But he was getting up there for some rebounds in the first. Not 100% sure, but again, similar to like Simone was saying, hopefully I'm saying your name right. Sorry if I'm not. But it probably somewhat to do with offensive production, because once we got into the second quarter and especially the third, we just couldn't score. And it's like we can't really have Josh out there in those situations because we need like a proven for sure scorer, which is why tonight was tricky because D'Lo was not there. And we need D'Lo in those situations where offense is not happening because we need him to just make those killer threes, like dagger step backs. You know, that would be incredible. His Twitch is Call Me Nonstop, same as his Twitter handle. So call me, or it's like at Call Me Nonstop. But definitely check it out. Let him know that I sent you. I don't know if he doesn't really know me, but he's cool. Yeah, his streams are fun. And he's got funny friends that he plays with, so it's pretty fun to watch. But yeah, what's up next? Let's see. Oh yeah, I didn't rate Josh. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. So Josh for tonight, I mean, this is kind of what we expect out of Josh. We expect a good defensive effort. We don't really expect anything offensively. When we get offensive out of Josh, obviously we that's somewhat of a surprise, and we obviously will take it. So I think that would have maybe given him up to a B. But I think tonight he probably has fallen in that same kind of Taurian Prince, maybe a little bit better. I mean, Taurian Prince, I think, was a little non-existent tonight. Josh was there for the first half. I wish I had stats about the second half because I almost don't know if he even was in the second half. And he only played 18 minutes total. So anyways, next up, the hardest person to judge on the entire list, always, is Jayden Mcdaniels. He had 27 minutes. 4 points, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks. He was 2 of 7 shooting, a little rough. I don't even remember him shooting 7 times. That seems crazy. Missed 2 threes. He did have 4 personal fouls. All of our bigs, I mean, Jayden's not really a big, but all of our bigs had rough nights shooting. What am I saying? Rough nights at the foul line. They were fouling a lot of people. I can't say anything right tonight. I'm just all over the place, but he had 4. Nas had 5. Cat had 6. I mean, like, if those 3 are out of the game, then Valanciunas can go off for career high. I don't even know what did Valanciunas end up with. He ended up with 20 and 17. Oh my gosh. I don't know why I mean, maybe they're tanking or something, but I don't know why they didn't just keep going to him. Nas couldn't stop him. And then we tried to double team him, and he finds a wide open cutter to the lane, and it was like, oh boy. At that moment, I was like, we could lose this game, and we should lose this game. Thankfully, we had a couple clutch shots from Nas and D'Lo finally. But yeah, Jayden, though, tonight, defensively, he had 2 blocks, no steals, but honestly, his defensive effort, even though Ingram went off, we put Jayden on Ingram near the end of the game, and he was playing really well against him. It's just that, I mean, Ingram is a killer, you know? He can make these crazy, like, hand in his face shots. So it's like, you know, it's just tricky to guard that. And, I mean, he was doing well. He was up in him. There was many times where I was, like, borderline almost fouling him, and he was still making shots. So it was just super frustrating. But I give the credit to Jayden. I mean, obviously he couldn't stop him fully, but, you know, he gave his effort. I really don't think this was like a lack of effort or a lack of even, I mean, he was doing the right things. You know, he did nothing wrong. He was just getting scored on. And we couldn't double him, because then if we double him, it's like, oh, what do we do with Valanciunas, which is just such a crazy, stupid thing to say. But anyways, I think Jayden had a good night. I'd probably put him in the low B tier tonight. I was thinking maybe upper C's, but I think because this is somewhat of what we expect, but I mean, he had a tough assignment tonight. He's also learning, not a new role, but like he's different team, you know, he's trying to fit into the new schemes and stuff like that. So I'm going to give him a low B tonight. I think he did fine, but my goodness, if you've watched the past streams, man, you know, he's like the worst, because like he'll play like 40 minutes, have 3 points, 2 rebounds, a steal, a block. And it's like, I mean, you look at that and it's like not good, but if you watch the game, you know how good he is. So, also, I will say I had some pretty hot takes coming into the season about Jayden. I'm not feeling those same hot takes anymore of him falling off. I think he's going to fit into our lineup. Now, where is that? I don't know if it's the starting lineup or a 6th man or what, or alternating on certain opponents. But I'm feeling a little, not embarrassed about my hot takes, but because I still think it's possible. But, you know, it's ridiculous. Ingram is legit. Jayden tried hard and did pretty good. Yeah, I think so. I agree. I mean, I think there was really not much else that Jayden could do other than foul him, which I mean, he's got 4 fouls tonight, so he can't go too crazy. So I think he did fine. So I'm going to give him B. Next up, Karl-Anthony Towns, 28 minutes, 25 points, only 4 rebounds, but everybody else around him was just skying for rebounds. And it's a little bit different with this scheme because defensively, we're not playing as much drop coverage anymore. So instead, he's out by the 3-point line, so we've got other people rebounding. So you got Ant tonight with 9 rebounds. You got Vando with 8. You know, like, and the same with Nas. I mean, Nas only had 3 rebounds tonight. So the rebounds are spread amongst the entire team. I mean, there's like 3, 3, 3, 5, 6, 4, 3, 9, 2. You know, they're all over the place. When is J.O. going to stream again? I don't know. He just streamed like 2 days ago. So, and that was during the season after his first game. So, he does stream. I don't know how often he streams, but definitely follow him on Twitter because he posts when he streams there. But he's on Twitch. So, follow his Twitch, Call Me Nonstop. That's where tell him Built from Day One sent you. But yeah, I think, anyways, Jayden did fine tonight. Towns played 28 minutes, 4 rebounds, like I was saying, 2 assists. He was 10 of 20, decent shooting. He had 3 blocks tonight too. Yeah, he did have some blocks, which is nice. 3 of 6 from 3. He only had 2 free throw attempts. He did have the 6 fouls, and he did have a technical foul. It's frustrating to see that he has these trends of having more offensive fouls. I don't know. I can't see. I don't have the stats in front of me to see how many. I know at least 3 were offensive fouls, maybe even 4. I'm not 100% sure. But I just hate seeing the offensive fouls, you know. I can't. It's just something that he has not improved on almost ever. So I'm just kind of getting sick of it. And obviously, he played great tonight. He was one of the only offensive players that truly like stuck tonight. When he was out there was a little bit of like legitimacy to our offense. To be honest, and to give some credit to the Pelicans, I thought defensively after like the first few minutes of the game, they started to play a little bit better defensively. But we were still getting open shots and just missing them. A lot of D'Lo shots were shots that he should just make, or not all of them, but he had a legitimate chance to make them. But Towns, he had a fine night. This is kind of what we expect. A little light on the rebounds, but as I was expecting, just different schemes. And 25 points, 10 of 20 shooting. That's good, So I don't want to hate on Cat too much. He had a good game. The fouls, and to be honest with you, I wasn't looking at the replays in the arena, so I don't know if the fouls were legit or not. There was like one that I knew that was legit, but with Cat, he tries to embellish him a little bit. But yeah, Ed Davis, Mass Xer, that's the one that I was like, there's some ridiculous person still on here other than Wancho. But yeah, Towns fouled out with 6 minutes left in the game. Left D tier. That's fair. He did fall out, and it's not like, a lot of times I feel like Towns acts like surprised that he is at the amount of fouls that he's at. Like he doesn't play differently when he has 5 fouls versus when he has 0, He still plays the same way. And I feel like there has to be some amount of breaking going on, especially Godfrey in a night like tonight. We're playing against, we've already got so many fouls on our bigs, including himself. We cannot have that decision-making happen where Towns is fouling out with 6 minutes left in a game that we could lose to likely one of the worst teams in the league this year. Probably bottom 2 or 3 teams in the league this year. And they don't even have their best player on the court. Well, I guess, you might be able to argue Brandon Ingram is one of their best players. Zion is so skilled, but, Ingram's interesting. So I'm kind of thinking, I'm kind of with you, Mass Xer. I don't know if I fully want to give him a D tier. I do think that it's a huge no, but he also was really the only one providing good offense tonight. Given, he still does some of his Towns things where he's like barreling into the lane, it's kind of messy. I feel like since we got the win, not necessarily thanks to him, we almost lost it thanks to him. I'm thinking about giving him kind of like a C tier, probably a low C tier. Just because it's hard for me to give him a D. He did, that's a big mistake that he needs to fix. But, yeah, I think I'm going to give him a C tier. I feel bad giving him a D tier on a night where he was the top scorer. But again, like I said, this is what we do with these lists. And obviously Godfrey, Mass Xer, Annie-Oop, you guys all know this. We do this, when we do this, this is based off of what we expect out of the player. This is somewhat what we expect from Towns. Unfortunately, we do also expect the offensive fouls at this point. It happens almost every game. but yeah, it's just something that apparently we're going to have to deal with because it's not stopping, it seems. So we'll see if French can try to stop that from happening. But Towns is a C tonight. Unless people go wild in the chat thinking that he should be lower. But co-host, just turned off his stream. I didn't want to see Ashwin anymore, so I just turned him off, muted him. It's over. No, no, he's busy tonight. I think he'll be back Monday. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember. I didn't check with him, but he'll be back. He's not gone. He's just absent tonight. He had things to do. So, next up, probably the most talked about player tonight, D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell did not play well tonight. He played 29 minutes, but only had 12 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. He was 5 of 14 shooting, 2 of 7 from 3. He only had 1 personal foul, but this was a bad game. His 5th foul was a joke. Simone, are you talking about Cat? Yeah, because there was 1 foul that seemed ridiculous. But Annie-Oop, you say D, but for his clutch 3, a C. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if we can give him a C how bad he played tonight. Casper saved it for the clutch. He did. He definitely did. And thank goodness we needed those 2 shots out of him in the 4th. He had that one where he came off the 3-point line in that pick and roll. That was actually really good. because he was like moving faster than I had seen him move before. And then that three, even though it was a bank shot, and bank shot like rolls around the rim and everything, that was crazy. That was definitely a lucky three. That was not a skilled three. That was luck. But at the same time, you throw the ball at the basket enough times, it's going to go in. This is kind of a hard one because I'm thinking D. A lot of you guys in the chat are thinking C for the clutch up. He did clutch up. I mean, I can't, me personally, I have such a hard time with banking shots that are like game winners. This wasn't like a game winning shot, but like it was such a clutch moment for us. Like there's this famous Derrick Rose 3-pointer when he played in Chicago that he banked in, I think in like a playoff game, and everybody calls it like one of the best plays. To be honest, and maybe this is controversial, I just hate that play. Like he definitely was not trying to bank in that three. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe he says he was trying to bank in a three, but who banks in a three? Something Simmons can't do. Correct. That is true. He did hold himself accountable. I thought that was so funny. He said something along the lines of like, what did he say? He said like, I forgot how to play basketball the first 3 quarters, and then that he said it was unexcusable, which is true. I like hearing that, and like obviously we know this isn't what D'Lo does. We know D'Lo is better than the night he had tonight, but man, chat, I might disagree. I think he's a D. I think I agree with Godfrey. He did not play well tonight, and the clutch up was great, but I'm gonna go D tonight. I know that seems crazy for somebody who hit like one of the most important shots of the game, but I'm gonna go D just because I'm not necessarily on the fence about putting him between D and C. I'm pretty firm on my thinking that he's D tier tonight. So he did save us at the end. You're not wrong. I just think that other than that, he was really bad. How many turnovers did he have? He had 7 turnovers tonight. 7. I don't know. It was a bad night for D'Lo, but the clutch up definitely saved us, and saved him and the game from. He wasn't even going to score 10 points if he didn't make those 5 points in the fourth. So, pretty wild. But I'm going to say D. We're going to give him 5 of 14 shooting, 7 turnovers. That's bad, So we know it won't be like that in the future. Anyways, moving on to our favorite player. Well, maybe our favorite player. I'm not sure. Anthony Edwards played the most minutes tonight, 36, almost 37 minutes, 19 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 8 of 22 shooting. Got a little rough in the second half. He was trying too much. 3 of 8 shooting from 3. He had, 1 turnover and 1 personal foul. He was the top player in plus minus tonight. Let me see. What'd you say? I forgot when he shot. But that off-balance corner, oh my god. So I was sitting perfectly in line. So like that's the court, like you can see like the court is here. The basket. So I was sitting at this basket, like upper deck here, so I could watch the shot, and he shot it from behind the backboard when he shot it. And obviously it didn't make it to the front of the backboard. It hit bad. So I was like, man, the angle I was at was like weird to watch. Yeah, 1 assist too. Man, just a bad game for him. But I won't hold it against him too much. But I certainly don't want this to be a trend. So, anyways, back to Ant. He had 19 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. First half, I thought Ant looked great. I think he finished the first half with 14 points. He looked really good in the first half. He was finishing over Valanciunas at the rim, finishing with ease at the rim. Hit a couple threes, he hit 1 3 in the third or fourth quarter. That was pretty clutch for us just to get some momentum going. But the second half, there was like 3 or 4 possessions where he had in a row where he was trying to kind of take over the game, you could tell. And he's 20 years old, so, he's trying some things, learning some things. And he was actually being more aggressive, something that I've wanted to see him do. Where he's trying to drive to the basket instead of just dribbling and taking like a step back 3, which he hit that one sick step back 3 tonight. Almost like Harden-esque. He had that like kind of side step back. It was crazy. That was cool. The crowd went crazy for that one. But the drives that he had were just a little messy, Got to work on a little bit of footwork, a little bit of dribbling, but like overall, I thought Ant had a great game. I wouldn't necessarily say it's A tier, but yeah, I think I agree with you, Andy. I think it's probably B tier, just because some bad shooting, some great plays. Defensively, he's still there. I mean, obviously he's got a block, he's got a steal, and defensively, just watching him, he's playing well. I'm not sure how well people who he was guarding shot. Was he guarding Ingram in the beginning? Because if he was, then that's a little rough. But I still think even if he was poor on the defensive end, I still think he's a B based off of everything that he did elsewise. So I think we'll give him a B to finish out the tier list. So Jarrett Culver is not with us anymore. Juancho is not with us anymore. Ed Davis. Ricky Rubio honestly could get an A1 tonight because apparently he had a great night. Finch, I don't have any thoughts on him. Sorry, I don't even know why I have him on here. I was at the game, so I didn't hear Dave or Jim. There was no Ant crazy. Well, there was one dunk that Ant had in the beginning. I don't know. Hopefully there wasn't anything too crazy, Ant fact wise. But B minus. Yeah, Mass Extra. That's probably closer to where I am. B minus, somewhere in that range. But I don't think he's close to a C. I think it's pretty firmly a B. So, but yeah, that's our tier list for tonight. If you're new, we do this every single night. Let's see this. Chat, you guys want to see the new chat screen? I don't know if this is actually going to stick, but for me, for just tonight, trying it out, see what it looks like. Feel free to chat away. Drop some Nas reads in chat or something like that. I got to test it and make sure it works. But I want to make this like animated, a little bit. Maybe change the colors or something like that. Now, Annie-oop, I agree. Wait, pause is right. but I do think it's going to be a blowout game on Monday. I think now we got hit in the face a little bit tonight, even though we won. It was not a game that should have been this close. We should not have been in the last minute of the game wondering if we're going to lose, against the third or second worst team in the league. Maybe even the worst team in the league. This should have been an easy win. It wasn't. But, if you can win a bad game, Curry keeps saying this, Steph Curry, that is. I keep seeing him say this in interviews, and I kind of like this. He's saying, if we can learn things in wins, that like even if it's a bad win, we'll certainly take it. And that's exactly what happened tonight. So Pelicans played last night, and not that good without Zion. Zion is, I think what the reports were like, he was nearing the 300-pound mark this summer or something like that, and he looks a lot bigger. But it's different because what he is able to do with his size is like impressive. Like obviously he was still big last year, and he's jumping like he jumps and dunking like he dunks. Even just like the conditioning he has, I mean, sure, he gets really tired, but he's still playing NBA games at a high level when he's healthy. So, but at the same time, that weight is less of a concern on a night-to-night basis and more of a concern long-term for his health. And I don't mean like eating health. I mean like joints, bones, all of that. Because if he's going to be that big coming down after like dunking or jumping, that can't be good for ankles, can't be good for knees, all of those things, so can't have that. But yeah, it was a bad game. I will certainly take a win after tonight. I mean, if we can win these games, man, I'll be very happy. And especially if we can keep winning, and getting these free Arby's games, I'll take it. Looks like, by the way, I just checked. Looks like they're still doing only the 25th, but keep an eye out. Trying to get some free tickets for next week and the next week. Just trying to get free season tickets, basically, at this point. But yeah, I think this was a good outcome for a bad game. Play the Pelicans again on Monday. I will also be at that game on Monday, courtesy, possibly, of Josh Kogi. Shout out to Josh Kogi. Again, for his Twitch stream. Check his Twitch stream out. If you're new here, drop a like on the video. Feel free to subscribe. We do this after every single game. Well, most games. The West Coast games, I can't promise I'll do this year. But we will be live after those games. Obviously, working on some new graphics, so I appreciate I did win a giveaway. Yes, I gave him like 5 gifted subs, and I was the person that gave the most subs that night. So he hooked me up with some tickets. So we'll see. He might hook me up with some tickets. I know he's busy. I mean, he's playing. So I don't really expect anything out of him. Anything he gives me, I'll take. Even if just attention. But yeah. So check his stream out for sure. Let him know that Built from Day One sent you. But yeah. I'd love if you guys subscribed if you aren't already. Feel free to share this stream with a friend. Feel free to share this stream on Reddit too. I want to share it on Reddit myself, but I'm worried about self-promo. So, but yeah. Is there a general time you're going to start the stream after the game? Good question, Godfrey. So, basically, it's a little tricky right now because since I'm going to the games, I live downtown, so I'm close enough to be close to home. But since I'm going with my dad, he's picking me up and we're parking, so it's kind of tricky. My goal is always to kind of start like 30 to 45 minutes after the game. Tonight I was a little bit later just because I was setting up a couple of these like backgrounds and stuff like that. But yeah, the goal is to start at the latest within an hour after the game. And if I don't go to the game, we try to do it pretty much right after the game. Give it like 15 minutes just for us to go like grab like water or something like that. How early did I arrive? We were actually kind of late. we keep trying to go to different parking garages, and we keep getting turned around and lost downtown. And there's lots of traffic, obviously. So we actually sat in our seats as they did tip off. So we barely made it. We missed the national anthem. We missed the intros, all that stuff. So yeah, it's kind of fun. But it's crazy. I can't believe I've gone to the games. So many. But it's been fun. Looks like the Bulls won tonight. Let's see. Where are we in the standings? I didn't even check. I mean, we're first, right? We're in third. I mean, I don't know what they're basing that off of. Should go an hour before. Should I go an hour before? Probably not. You probably don't need to go an hour before. It's your first game. Nice. Yeah, I wouldn't say you have to go an hour before. I'd say you'd probably want to aim to be parking by like at the latest, you want to be parked by like 6:45. That would be the latest. As long as you park in ramp A, B, or C, depends on where you live and where you're coming from. Because if you're coming from like north of Minneapolis, you'll take like 94 and just go right into ramp C. That's where I used to live, so I used to take that all the time. And ramp C is like not that expensive. But yeah, if you're gonna take one of the ramp A, B, or C, you're close enough to the game that you probably don't need to be there that much. Earlier, hey, Cootie Car, appreciate the follow, thank you. But yeah, I would probably arrive, maybe aim to be there at like 30 minutes, like 6:30, or I should say 30 minutes before the game if you wanted to be super safe. But that would be cool. Where are you sitting, Nanny Oop? Or sorry, I don't know what you want me to call you. Yeah, I'm curious to know where you're sitting. So the tickets that I got for this next game, the ones through the app, that I checked immediately after the game because I was like, last time I missed it. So I was like, I gotta check it right away. They had lower level tickets. I'm sitting in like crazy low seats. So like my tickets are, let me see here. I gotta find it real quick. Section 133, row D. I'm like a couple rows up from the floor. What's the vibe around town about the Wolves? Are people more hyped than normal? I think there's a general community kind of like close to the Timberwolves. People obviously in this chat on Reddit that are very into it, but like people going to the games, the game wasn't super full tonight. Home opener was definitely busier, and I actually expected tonight to be a little bit busier. And I think that's why they're giving away free tickets. I think they want a bunch of people to see a bunch of wins because hypothetically, we should be winning a lot of these games here in the beginning of the season. We should be. We honestly could maybe even be like 7-1 after these first 8 games. We have 7 of our first 8 games are at home, so we could do that. We could even go 8-0. After tonight, I have a little less hope in 8-0, but you know, like that's certainly possible. But let me catch up. I'd say the vibe. People are optimistic right now. I think people definitely believe that the team could go to the playoffs. I am a believer in that. I think we're going to play 500 and finish near the 8th seed, maybe play-in situation. I guess the 8th seed is a play-in situation, but somewhere in that play-in situation. Godfrey says Wolves should wear the jersey you're wearing all the time. Right? This is another one I got from DHgate. This is the KG one though, because I wore my Pat Bev one last time, also DHgate. Yeah, they should, and they're gonna bring back that like version of the blue jersey, but this one's so good. I love the black version of this too. God, but we wore that I think in the playoffs with Jimmy, right? I can't remember, but might go to the Nuggets game. Which one's the Nuggets game? Is that the 30th? I think that's the 30th. Yeah, if I could get tickets to that game, that would be really fun. So that's why I'm hoping. Keep an eye out. They might do that tonight in the Arby's thing. Just keep an eye out because they changed it like a couple hours in. Yeah, it's still the 25th. Let me just double check and make sure. Are those the city edition? I think they are. I don't know when those jerseys come out though. No school that day. Yeah, it's a Saturday, right? Or is it a Friday? I can't remember. I think they're the city edition this year. I'm not 100% sure. Hey, they actually ran out of tickets for the 25th. So definitely keep an eye out because they may have more coming through here very shortly. So keep an eye out. I'll be up all night. I'm going to actually rewatch the game. I like to rewatch them after I go to the game, see how the crowd sounded on the TV versus at the game. But yeah, so it's the 25th is out of supply. So keep an eye on that app. But anyways, yeah, I'll probably be back after the Monday game. I will be going to the Monday game, like I said. I'll be there at the Monday game. Probably go live 45 minutes, hour after the game, somewhere in that range. I think it's another 7:00 game, so the game will probably be done around 9:30. I'll be on by like 10:15, 10:30, unless I get home earlier. But the city edition jerseys are going to be worn on the 5th, November 5th. Is that true? Because if that's true, that's like way sooner than I expected. I'm going to look it up real quick, just because I'm curious. Because, yeah, they haven't even announced them, right? Okay, I heard about this, Godfrey. I actually wanted to look this up. I'll do like a live reaction to this. Where was this? Is this like, I wonder if it's on Bally Sports. It's the, because he was he like pulling down his pants or something like that? Patrick Beverly Marnie? Let's see. Patrick Beverly, whoops. Trying to see if I can find it quick. Because, yeah, I heard about that, but I don't... Looks like I can't find anything. Here, I'll look on Twitter real quick, because I actually am curious about that. Let's see. Patrick Beverly. What'd he do? What the dog do? I swear I saw somebody post it on Twitter. I don't see it. I don't want to. I'm not gonna keep you guys in a silence here. But interesting. I'll check it out. But at halftime, he kept saying how good she looked. Oh, really? Oh, I don't like that. Oh man. That's not good. I'll have to watch it. I don't want to make any judgments without watching it, but that is definitely weird. Anyways, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you're watching this back, sorry about this last part. This is a little bit more of a convo with me and live chat, which if you're watching this back, feel free to join us live after every game. We go live about an hour after every game and talk the game, go over some whatever it's called. I don't remember. Tier list. But yeah. Have a good night, Annie-Oop. Have a good night, Godfrey. Thanks for joining us, Mastexer. Thanks for the follow, Cuddy Car. You know what? We're going to finish off the show with the new intro, with new music. So we're going to end it with that. Thanks for joining, everybody. See ya Monday night. Keep an eye out for those tickets.